Hello, white people. I'd like to start out by saying that I'm normally not anti-police. We need our police to babysit people who cannot live in civil society. But when police overstep their boundaries and become government thugs, that's where I have an issue. And the police are going to get a severe pushback for this behavior. Now let's read this article from timescolonist.com. This is a Canadian publication, I believe. Government paid thugs kidnap at least 100 in sweeping operation to dismantle Ottawa protests. The police action, which included the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which I believe are the federal police, Ontario Provincial Police, and if you're an American, that's like the state police, local officers and units from other cities, followed an initial round of arrests on Thursday against key organizers, and today's Saturday when I'm reading this. A massive government thug operation to clear demonstrators out of Ottawa's downtown core continued through the bitterly cold last night as the protest against the federal government and public health measures entered its fourth week. More than 100 protesters, including 4 key organizers, have been arrested, and at least 21 vehicles in the so-called Freedom Convoy were towed Friday as hundreds of officers, some of them on horseback, fanned out across the area to take back the streets. See, now we've got gang warfare. The well-coordinated police action began peacefully funny morning, but as the day wore on, tensions escalated with the Ottawa Police Service, accusing protesters of assaulting officers, trying to take their weapons, and in one case throwing a bicycle at a police horse, self-defense. Some protesters claimed they were assaulted by officers. This I believe. Government thugs will do anything that they're told for the pension and those health benefits. Ottawa Thug Police Interim Chief Steve Bell told a Friday evening news conference that clearing the area would take time, but the operation was deliberate and methodical, and police were in control on the ground. He said no serious injuries had been reported. Injuries have been reported, and those arrested had been charged with various offenses, including mischief. Mischief? What a bizarre offense. Adding that police were still urging demonstrators to leave peacefully. Okay, so if anybody was assaulting an officer, they would not be charged with mischief. Mischief, huh? So, loitering. So I think mischief and loitering are about the same thing. Meanwhile, inside the House of Commons today, MPs will resume debate on the use of the Emergencies Act to respond to the illegal blockades. And if you have been on alternative media lately, you will see that the Parliament in Canada had confessed that they were all non-Europeans. They were all descended from the Nose Tribe. So they're all Nose Tribers. And what they're all doing in government, that's pretty bizarre, if you ask me. Who leaves a place that they feel oppressed and goes and becomes a leader in that country that they go to? No, that's just horseshit. That was their intention all along, to rule over us. The debate was begun on Thursday, but Government House Leader Mark Hollenberg said in a Twitter post that House leaders from all parties agreed to cancel Friday's session on the advice of parliamentary security. Yeah, they should be scared. Hollenberg said MPs will vote early next week on the Emergencies Act motion. This report by the Canadian Press was first published February 19, 2022, and I'd like to add, if you haven't seen that Justin Trudeau Castroberg, he said he initiated, or is wanting to use the Emergency Act to respond to the illegal blockades, which will include freezing people's bank accounts and confiscating their property. And at this point, or anybody who's in Ottawa right now protesting, so that's what's going to happen to them. That's where Trudeau has made a huge mistake. These people were just standing there, and they just say, like, look, you're interfering with our livelihood, and these Canadian government mandates are affecting Americans too, because American truckers go into Canada. And so both Americans and Canadians are standing together on this. And I support this fully. Because the Canadian government is interfering with commerce. That is a huge faux pas. Now they're threatening to take away Canadians' property and their ability to take care of their families. Oh, faux pas. So now they've backed people into a corner. So now you've got people who are peacefully protesting. You're going to change them into violent people by doing this. When people don't have anything to lose, you're going to find a lot of these Canadian officials are going to go into hiding, and they should be scared. Government-paid thugs descended on an anti-government protest in Ottawa. Oh, so blocking roads and standing up to mandates, just standing there saying, hey, you need to reverse this. Now you're an anti-government protester. All right. In Ottawa on Friday, arresting at least 100 people and towing more than 20 vehicles in a push to end a 3-week occupation that has reverberated across Canada and around the world. Dozens of officers who had gathered in the bitterly cold downtown core following an overnight snowstorm started to move mid-morning under a bright sun, pushing the protesters back and making arrests along the way. Supported by officers on horseback and on rooftops, lines of police slowly advanced on an intersection just east of Parliament Hill, isolating one group of protesters. Police blasted warnings over a loudspeaker before officers advanced intermittently, forcing back dozens of demonstrators, some of whom linked arms or laid down in resistance, while others hurled insults or tried to flee. Officers in military greens, some with gas masks and what appeared to be tear gas guns, converged on the protesters from another direction in an apparent pincher move before a third group of police boxed them in. As officers closed on that group, other protesters watched from their main camp further west on Wellington Street near the National War Memorial and Parliament Hill, urging their embattled comrades to hold the line and hurling their own invective. By evening, the situation grew more heated. A group of mounted police suddenly charged a large group of protesters facing police lines near the Senate in an apparent effort to move the crowd up toward Wellington Street. Many in the shocked crowd ran, some yelling, "You are trampling us." Ottawa police said on Twitter that protesters had continued assaultive behavior. I know, because self-defense is assaultive. You're supposed to be a doormat. With the police line, and to prevent an escalation or further injury, oh boy, mounted officers were sent in to create a safe distance between officers and protesters. As this was happening, police said a bicycle was thrown at the feet of one of the horses in an attempt to injure it. Oh, really? Somebody was defending themselves with a bicycle. One person was arrested for allegedly intentionally harming a police service animal. Was this the same person? Protesters are assaulting officers, have attempted to remove officers' weapons. All means of de-escalation have been used to move forward in our goal of returning Ottawa to its normalcy, the police service tweeted. Okay, here we go with the lies. This is like France 2.0. The police action, which included the RCMP, Ontario Provincial Police, local officers and units from other cities, followed an initial round of arrests Thursday against key organizers. It also came after repeated warnings and signals in the past 2 days that police were preparing for a crackdown following weeks of accommodating the demonstration, which had left many Ottawa residents angry, frazzled, and critical of the city's police force. Aw, poor little bitches. Ottawa Police Interim Chief Steve Bell told a news conference Friday that clearing the area will take time, but the operation is deliberate and methodical, and police are in control on the ground. Those arrested have been charged with various offenses. I'm sorry if this is repetitive, including mischief, he said, adding police are still urging demonstrators to leave peacefully. He said that there has been no need to interact with the Children's Aid Society of Ottawa, but it is still shock and surprises to him that children are being put in harm's way in the middle of a demonstration where a police operation was unfolding. Oh, okay, so now they're blaming the protesters for having their families present. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive, huh? We will continue to look after their safety and security, but we implore all parents who have kids there Get kids out of there, Bell said. They do not need to be in the middle of this. It is not a safe place for them. Oh, okay, so who's creating the threat? It would be the government-paid thugs. Ottawa police have accused some protesters of putting children between themselves and advancing officers. Oh, really? Okay, so now everybody's a Palestinian. The allegation was not independently verified. As police pushed back the protesters, tow trucks moved in to remove some of the dozens of big rigs and other vehicles that have been used to essentially blockade the streets around Parliament Hill since late last month. Police were also staffing dozens of checkpoints around the downtown core designed to prevent any new protesters from arriving to reinforce those inside the perimeter. And, of course, this froze, and I cannot continue to read the article, but that is okay. We got the gist of it. All right, so in my personal opinion, when you go to protest, you need to let people know that you are not peaceful. Because the police in Canada are doing exactly what they did in France. They are going after people who are not equipped to fight back, because a bully will always go after an easy target. All right, white people, that's the damage for now. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.